Welcome to the Newsworthy. All the day's news in less than 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. Today, what to know about the National Day of Mourning and the high-tech test happening at the White House. Plus, which city is getting a new sports team and the celebrity that will host the Oscars. Those stories and many more in less than 10 minutes. I'm Erica Mandy. Today is Wednesday, December 5th. You ready? Let's do this. Today has been declared a National Day of Mourning, a time for the nation to mourn the death of former President George H.W. Bush. CBS News reports it means nearly all federal workers will have the day off and federal offices will be closed. There's a state funeral happening at the National Cathedral in Washington, D.C. for the 41st president, who was 94. His body will then be taken to Texas and he'll be buried at his presidential library. President Trump will be at the funeral today. He will not be talking at it, but the Washington Post reports he'll be sitting in the front row next to former presidents and first ladies, Barack and Michelle Obama and Bill and Hillary Clinton, putting them all in the same room for the first time since Trump became president. Bush's son, former President George W. Bush, will be delivering one of the eulogies. A couple of the many world leaders expected to be there, German Chancellor Angela Merkel and Prince Charles. Also, FYI, in addition to the federal government, the post office will mostly be closed, although some packages may still be delivered. Major U.S. stock markets are also closed for the day. And speaking of the stock market, it tanked yesterday. The Dow Jones fell nearly 800 points, the worst day since early October. And early this morning, CNBC reports stocks in Asia traded down as well. So why? Well, one of the reasons for it was a signal in the banking sector that basically says an economic slowdown could be coming. Reason number two, worries over a deal between the U.S. and China, the one we talked about on Monday. It started off well with reports of a 90-day truce on trade between the U.S. and China over the weekend. But then we realized the deal never actually made it on paper. Confidence dropped and investors felt the uncertainty. In fact, the New York Times reports President Trump was once again threatening tariffs on Chinese imports yesterday. In a tweet, Trump even referred to himself as, quote, tariff man. Stay tuned for what happens when the markets reopen tomorrow. Updates now about two people questioned in the Russia investigation. First up, special counsel Robert Mueller told a judge not to give Michael Flynn any jail time. Remember, Mueller is the one looking into whether there was any collusion between Russia and the Trump campaign, and Flynn is the president's former national security advisor. Mueller says Flynn cooperated with the investigation early on and provided quite a bit of information. In exchange, Mueller suggested he should be let off easy for his role in it. Many people were waiting for more hints about what Flynn provided and more about the Russia investigation overall. But the AP reports prosecutors did not give too much up because the investigation is still happening. On the other hand, Trump's longtime advisor, Roger Stone, took a very different tone, at least with a Senate panel who wants to interview him about his Russia contacts. Stone says he would plead the fifth if questioned, basically a way to avoid questions that might incriminate him. A high-tech test is coming to the White House. The Verge reports the Secret Service has plans to test out facial recognition surveillance. It would help ID people of interest that might be in the area in an effort to protect the president. Critics, though, include the ACLU, and they are not thrilled about it. They say it opens the door to using surveillance on Americans who did not agree to it and don't even realize it's being used. Keep in mind the tech is already used in some airports and by some police departments. The National Hockey League is heading to a new city, Seattle. Seattle will be getting the 32nd team in the league. ESPN reports there's no new name for the new hockey team just yet, but they have some time to figure it out. The team will start playing in 2021. A quick break from reality now for today's sponsored story from Welcome to Tinseltown, a new Christmas classic you can listen to right now. You and the kids in your life will love this if you like holiday movies like The Grinch and Frozen, and it's super easy to listen to because it's free. It's a new holiday podcast. Welcome to Tinseltown follows the lovable Holly as she's transported to the magical realm of Tinseltown, where it's Christmas every day. I'll let Holly tell you a bit more about it.
So, you want to hear a story about magic? A story about Christmas? A story about one of the most enchanted places on Earth, where trees grow gumdrops and the Yetis skate on Sugar Plum Pond alongside elves? Do I ever have a tale for you?
This is a story that is great for all ages, and it's sure to get you in the Christmas spirit. All 7 episodes are out right now, so subscribe for free to Welcome to Tinseltown. Just search for it on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app. Now back to the news. Lyft and Uber drivers are getting a raise, at least in New York City. It's the first U.S. city to set a minimum wage for drivers at companies like Uber and other app-based car services. Here's how it will work. NBC News reports there will be a new formula based on per minute and per mile pay. It's supposed to ultimately mean drivers earn $17.22 an hour. But Uber and Lyft are not happy. They say it'll mean higher prices for you, the rider, and they say there are better ways to go about fair pay for drivers. Samsung is shelling out big bucks to promote their products more than any other company in the world. Ad Age found Samsung spent $11.2 billion on advertising and sales promotion just last year. That's more than the top spender in the past, which was Procter & Gamble. So why the big spending? TechCrunch says it might be because of all the bad PR Samsung got back in 2016. Remember, the Samsung Galaxy Note 7 phone would spontaneously burst into flames. Well, we now know the host of the next Academy Awards. It's comedian Kevin Hart. He made the announcement on Instagram, and the Academy confirmed it. This will be the first time Hart has hosted the Oscars, and Deadline reports he'll be only the 4th African-American to MC the show in its 91 years. Hart called it an opportunity of a lifetime. The Oscars are February 24th on ABC. Have you seen the movie Bohemian Rhapsody? Well, a lot of people have, and it's putting a lot of attention back on the band Queen. So the surviving members are going back on tour. Deadline reports the tour will be Queen and Adam Lambert as the singing lead. Lambert first shared the stage with Queen during the American Idol finale that made him famous back in 2009. The Rhapsody tour kicks off next July. And that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to read more about any of the stories I mentioned in this episode, I try to make it easy for you. Find all the sources with links in today's show notes. Just go to thenewsworthy.com, click episodes, and look for today's date. You'll also find a link to that new and heartwarming holiday podcast, Welcome to Tinseltown, so be sure to check it out. The Newsworthy is ready for you every weekday by 4 in the morning. I'll be back with more news tomorrow. Have a great day.